So first of all, tashi dele to all of my Dharma friends, whoever you are, wherever you are. I hope that you are well and I hope that you are happy. So then, today, as usual, I will explain something about how to have our human body, on the basis of this human body, how to have our human life as much as possible go well. And I will do this in accordance with some advice by Arya Nāgārjuna. So then, in terms of these great adepts like Nāgārjuna, Asanga, and Vasubandhu, if you look at their way of thinking and you compare it to our way of thinking, it's like our way of thinking would be like that of little children by comparison. And so that is why I, as much as possible, give this advice in accordance with what they've said. So in terms of our human body, our human mind and brain, then on the basis of looking at the works of these great scholars, we can see that it is not really going in the direction that it should. So by explaining these things, then we can learn how to direct it. So if we were to speak about, we often speak of love for oneself or compassion for oneself, but if we think of the love or compassion that we have for ourselves, or the love and compassion that our family may have for us, or that the people who are close to us have for us, if we think about that and we compare it to the compassion that these great beings, these great scholars had for us, the ones that the love and compassion of those great scholars is much more significant. So these are adepts who did not just kind of sort of compose some nice words in the hopes of praise. If you look at their speech, if you look at their advice, at what they really taught, then it will become incredibly clear that the love and compassion of our family and the people close to us that they have for us is not as strong as the love and compassion that these great beings have for us. And so then, having understood this intention, right, this love and compassion that these scholars had, then it is our duty as much as possible to try to understand their advice, to try to understand how they are thinking, what the meaning of it is, and process that accordingly. So please, then, having understood all of this, then with a happy mind, with a joyful mind, understanding the preciousness of this opportunity, please listen well, and I will do my best to explain this verse or this shloka. And so then, in terms of the various works by Nāgārjuna, then there are 6 important works, and then in terms of these precious or important works, within those there is a particular text known as the 60 stanzas, the 60 stanzas, which is very profound and precious. So I will share something of that today. So in terms of the verse that I'm going to explain today, it actually comes at the conclusion of this text of the 60 stanzas, of the 60 stanzas. And so at the end of this text, then Nāgārjuna is saying that through the wholesome karma, through the virtue that I have amassed through the composition of this text, and then he makes some very specific prayers and dedications for that merit. And so this is the purpose of that verse, right? It is a verse of dedication, but at the same time, by listening to this verse, there are many things that we can glean about how to improve our way of life, how to improve our way of thinking, and so forth. So Geshe is sharing the verse from this text by Nāgārjuna called the 60 stanzas, or the Yuktiṣaṣṭikārika. So I will read the verse in English. Through this virtue may all embodied beings complete the collections of merit and wisdom. From merit and wisdom arising, may they achieve the two bodies. So then these verses are something that are both beautiful and easy to understand. So in terms of this line, through this virtue may all embodied beings, through this virtue is speaking of the virtues that Nāgārjuna has amassed with his body, speech, and mind through his composition and his joyous effort in the endeavor. So through this virtue may all embodied beings, so this all embodied beings means all sentient beings without bias, all sentient beings without exception, humans, animals, so forth, all beings. So this is a prayer of aspiration that through the power of merits from the completion of this text, may all sentient beings, and then we come to the next line, complete the collections of merit and wisdom. Complete the two collections of merit and wisdom. So Geshe is just explaining that this line is something incredibly precious and important, because on the basis of amassing these two collections of method and wisdom as much as possible, even if we just engage with method and wisdom as much as possible, then even from the perspective of just this life alone, one can achieve happiness. And similarly, it is on the basis of amassing these practices of method and wisdom that one can achieve liberation from suffering, that one can achieve a fortunate future life, and that one can achieve the final goal of Buddhahood or enlightenment. So we see these first two lines. First, we are speaking about the virtues that have been collected, then taking embodied beings or sentient beings as the referent object, we make this aspirational prayer that they may complete the collections of merit and wisdom. So then we come to the next two lines. From merit and wisdom arising, may they achieve the two bodies. So this means that because of achieving merit and wisdom, as a result of that, may they achieve the two holy bodies or the two kayas.
오다 동바 끝니서 노지 끝니서 나도 수다 도자 예나면은 타마트 들어와 또 끝니서는 끝지서는 끝서서는 오다 수수를 제자.
So in terms of speaking about these kayas or these bodies as the object of attainment, right, as the goal that is being sought, we can speak of the two bodies as we do here, but there's also a presentation, in addition to that of the two bodies, of the three kayas or bodies, or the four kayas or bodies.
다 동바 끝니 잘라봐이나 아니 우대 치크 동바 예대 수크 동바 동바니.
So in this particular presentation of the two bodies or the two kayas, the first is the body through which one's own purpose is achieved, which is the dharmakaya or the truth body, and the second is the body through which the purpose or the welfare of others is achieved, which is the form body or rupakaya.
오다 그도 와서 오다 대 토자 타도 이래대 다대 토자 타도 콜리라고 하고 와서 오다 대 와들이 지래대 이나요 뭐지 지를 잡아 이나요 나도 또 하고 스텔라 드리시.
So, of course, this is the final object of attainment, so we can't expect that reaching that goal of the two bodies is something easy. It's not something that's going to happen quickly. However, if we just direct our endeavor towards that a little bit, this will also help us to greatly improve our life.
오다 대니 그 저쪽 대세노 그 쪽, 시그 쪽이 있으는 진이 있으는 와서 오다 준이 안디스레 잘라바이나 somba doni ji shonju ji se ane pembe somba ya yelo somba somba tu shene ne ka cha tala di chu tela den chu sa ya tala seno bu chu.
And so then in terms of the attainment of these two bodies of the dharmakaya and the rupakaya, they have as their cause for the rupakaya method and the dharmakaya wisdom. So in terms of the collection of method or merit, these are practices such as bodhicitta, rooted in love and compassion, but also the production of any different types of minds which seek to benefit others.
오다 나로 솔은 내가 시키게 조조 됐더니 단지 말이 봐 선 부자게 단지 말이 봐 시집 단지 말이 봐 조조 저번다고 되니 되래.
So then, in terms of the main thing that is hindering us, we should understand that the main thing that is hindering our development is this ignorance grasping at the self. And if you divide that into two, you could say the ignorance grasping at the self and the ignorance grasping at phenomena.
오다 되게 열하는 것은 뭐도 되려 그러는 번다고 단지 말이 봐서 다 말이 봐리 뭐야.
And so then, of course, in terms of this ignorance grasping at the self, there are sort of many servants of that mind or many branches of that mind, various other forms of ignorance that kind of are spread out from that.
다 대지를 좋으실 것 같으네. 이한테 저를 공부를 걸어서 소마 노지 레메바디 빠져서기 싫어하지 마라와스. 될까지 됐다. 레메바디 소노 토끼 생겨라. 세텔라 때네 이식을 조사하고.
So then, of course, in terms of the minds of attachment and anger arising and then sort of falling into that way of thinking, then using the wisdom that thinks that the way that things are appearing through the lens of that attachment or that anger is not in accord with reality, is not in accord with the true mode of abiding, this utilization of a wisdom becomes the accumulation of the collection of wisdom.
다 이식을 속에 잡본다고 됐다. 돈이 되기 싫어. 그거도 다음에도 지지 다음에도
So then, in terms of the sort of king of the practices of the collections of wisdom, it is the wisdom realizing emptiness, in particular the wisdom realizing the emptiness of self and the wisdom realizing the emptiness of phenomena. Of persons. And so then, as we said, there were these two bodies which have the two causes. So in terms of this particular accumulation, through developing this realization of emptiness, then one is able to give rise to the body which serves one's own purpose or one's own welfare, which is the Dharmakaya, or the truth body.
오다 로데 치크도 봐. 다리 야치 프로티 니모 가니. 온게 세 강에 저기 세르지 좀 맞아야 그냥 다도 있다. 로데 치크도 봐.
So it is called this Dharmakaya, through which one achieves one's own welfare, or through which one achieves one's own purpose, because it is through the contemplation of emptiness that one's own mind is completely purified, and that anything that could cause suffering or disturbance is completely obliterated, completely cleared away.
오다 드네야 비야 티 델타와 이나요. 소소 셀 기고 그거 요나요. 얘네지나 이 저기 시고 좀도 사람마다 많이 세 간데스 stanzas ya muta pasa panz mari pasa sonse karaje bache so kya kachi mushi bas.
So then, in terms of these words, which are about the collection of wisdom, then even if we also want to experience a little bit of improvement in our life, then we should examine some of these things. For example, emptiness, what does it mean and how is it? What is impermanence? What is this ignorance grasping at the self? And how does one overcome it? This will also help us in our lives.
오다 대다 같이 뭐 가르에서 델라티는 이에네서 요 가르이나요. 네서 가르이나요. 예서 그 하고서나 맞은 델이나요. 소소 헬레지네 와지네.
And so the benefit of cultivating these teachings on the wisdom side is that if one is able to comprehend even just a little bit the ultimate mode of abiding of phenomena, in other words, the way things really are, this can greatly improve our happiness in this life as well. So, of course, thinking in that way, it's not the actual Dharmakaya through which one achieves one's welfare, but it's a similitude, it's a little bit of a taste of that, which can greatly bring us happiness. And so, as much as possible, if based upon that we also think of others, then we give rise to the Rupakaya, the form body, which works towards the welfare of others. So thinking that not just oneself is important, but others are important, and not just ourselves. Then if we have love and compassion for them, then on the basis of accumulating and perfecting those practices, one gives rise to the Rupakaya, through which the purpose of others is fulfilled. And so then, in terms of the benefits of these two bodies, even if we just think about the purpose of achieving these, then, sorry, got a bit distracted by the dog there. If we think about our own purposes, if we think about our families, our neighbors, humans and animals and so forth, through achieving these practices, we will only bring benefit. We will never harm others, which will bring them happiness. So if we are, on the basis of these teachings on the two bodies, able to, as much as possible, sort of bring this into our lives, then in terms of this life's happiness, it will be something that is very stable, and there will be no sort of great problem or great disturbance that can really harm us. So having understood this very sort of amazing and beautiful situation here, then, as much as possible with a happy and joyful mind, please engage in the study and practice. Thanks very much. Tashi dele to all.